Hello, beautiful being, and welcome to Sacred Feminine Conversations for an Awakening World. My name is Amrita Grace, and today's episode is about my dating site fail and the lessons that I learned from it. So I've been a very happily married woman for close to 10 years now, but there was a time when I was single. And being that this was about 10 years ago, there really weren't the kind of apps that there are today like Tinder. So I had to rely on dating sites, and the particular one that I was drawn to was called Spiritual Singles. And it was a fine dating site as they go. And I put a great profile on there, real honest, a picture that was current and things like that. And I kept a pretty close eye on it for quite some time. But here's what happened. I would connect with men who would be interested in me, and I had this desire to really get to know them so that I could determine if they would be a good fit in relationship for me. Because by this time, I was really picky, and I was really holding a vision of drawing in a beloved relationship. But I did not want to leave any stone unturned, if you know what I mean. I wanted to be really available for all possibilities in the realm of beloved relationship. So I made myself available. So what happened is I would get to know a man and get to know him fairly well through email, maybe some phone conversations, and I would realize that this wasn't my guy. So I would end up with a friend, a male friend. And this kept happening, like over and over, that I would connect with a man and we would get to know each other, and I would realize that this wasn't the guy. But by now we'd kind of formed a friendship. And I didn't feel like I wanted to just leave them all behind and dump them as friends. I was living on Maui at the time, and there was one man that I met. So, of course, that was in my location on my profile. There was one guy that I met named Nathan, and he was, no, it was Nate. Yeah, his name was Nate. So he had a condo on Maui, and he really loved and idealized and worshiped the island. And he would come and visit, I don't know, a couple times a year or something. So he connected with me because I lived there. And we had this sort of long distance connection for a while. And then he planned a visit so that we could actually meet up. And we did. But by then I pretty much already realized this was not my guy. So I ended up with this collection of male friends that I didn't really want. And it just really wasn't working for me. So, being a compassionate and polite person, I essentially needed to bring each of those relationships, those friendships to a close so that I could be really clear and really open to receiving the man that I had been dreaming up, the beloved. Eventually, honestly, I just let the profile go. In a way, I kind of gave up without giving up hope. I gave up on the way that I was approaching the deal. I just gave up on it. The approach of using a dating site was so hit or miss. And if you've ever had experience with a dating site, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. That there are a lot of creepy people out there. There are a lot of people that aren't honest in their profile, that put pictures that are outdated. People, there's a lot of hyperbole, let's put it that way. People saying that they're a whole lot more than they are. They're employed when they're not, et cetera, et cetera. So in general, the men that I connected with were good men. They were good men. They just weren't my guy. And I knew that. I was so clear about what I was calling in. So clear. And I wasn't going to settle. I had done plenty of settling in my life, and I just was not going to settle this time. I would way rather be single than settle for something that wasn't up to my standards. And they were very high. So as I let these men go and I let my profile go, I just allowed myself to be in relationship with me. And that was a really wonderful thing, because after having been married to two different men for a total of 20 years, I really needed to be single for a while. I needed to live alone, and I needed to learn about myself as an individual and to let that individuality grow and expand, and to get really comfortable with just being with me. And I did. And I'll tell you what happened eventually. I met that man of my dreams, only he was way, way, way more than I could have imagined. And eventually I married him. And that was 12 years ago. We're still really, really happy. So part of the message here is don't give up hope. Don't settle. Be with yourself and do the inner work that you need to do to attract the kind of partner that you want in your life. And for me, what that meant was sexual healing work. Because I was kind of messed up in my sexual energy after being sexually abused as a child and then acting out sexually for 20 years. That's how I landed in those 2 marriages, was connecting up with other people that were dysfunctional and playing that out in the relationships. Very painful. I don't recommend it, but most people have to go through it anyway. Yeah, really, don't lose hope. I was in my mid-40s when I finally met my beloved. And wow, I can tell you, it's worth waiting for. It really is. So, lessons learned, lots of them. Do the dating sites, but hold on loosely. And don't be attached to outcomes, because that's really another important lesson here too, is to not be attached to outcomes. If you meet a guy and, oh, I met some doozies. Oof, there was one who was moving to Maui, and he turned out to be a real loser. But it took me a while to get untangled from that so-called friendship. That I had such high hopes pinned on that one, that I was trying to overlay the relationship that I wanted on this guy. And that was a really bad idea. It didn't work. So yeah, learn from my lessons if you can, if you want to. So I hope that you have found that helpful and informative. And I have a free gift that I would like to offer you. And it's called Ignite Your Sacred Feminine Fire. And this is a complimentary 3-video series that I made just for you to help you get access to your life force energy, which is your sexual energy, which is something we're not taught actually. So Ignite Your Sacred Feminine Fire is available to you as a complimentary gift, and you'll find it on my website, which is sacredfeminineschool.com. sacredfeminineschool.com. So I will see you again on the next episode of this fabulous new show, and I look forward to sharing so much more with you here on Sacred Feminine Wisdom for an Awakening World. Take good care and many blessings to you.